Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. Not only the market is doing well, but I hope everyone's doing well. So today we have our panel of experts to help us. Our work from home warriors, starting with Charles Ang, our deputy, COL's deputy head of research, and um, our resident fine arts resource. we have we have
Hello.
Zar. We have Zar also, our director of content for KLOOM, and also our basketball and physical fitness resource is here. And last but not the least, our president and CEO, Edmund Lee. Also, the latest resource of billionario.com. So guys, before we begin with the specific charts, specific stocks, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. 2020, Taal volcano, pandemic shutdown, protests in Hong Kong and US, and yet it seems that markets continue to rally. So, can someone tell me what's happening?
Wow.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first kasi ako yung pinakawalang alam dito. So, I think it's really the liquidity that's really driving the markets the last 2 months already actually. So you're seeing it globally, no? So yeah, after the sell-off in March, all central banks have really done their part in trying to boost the financial markets at the least, right? So I think it's really just liquidity for me.
Who wants to add? No, yeah.
I can add. I mean, aside from liquidity, I think one of the things that is very important to know today is that everybody knows first and second quarter is going to be really bad. And while we don't know the extent and how long this economy will recover, I think the knee-jerk reaction of expecting the worst, I think it's already done already in the economy, right? So everything that's going to come out after the second quarter is most likely going to be better than what we experienced in the first half of 2020, right? So to that extent, I think with all the pump priming and the liquidity, even though there's a big disconnect with the Main Street and Wall Street, I think people are now looking forward to, okay, is it 2021? Is it 2022? Is it 2023? But the market's trying to look at that perspective and trying to assume that maybe the worst is already over.
So do you think this is officially a V for the US? A V move for the US. It's already affecting the local markets.
My answer is no.
Okay. Okay. Zar, anything to add before we?
Well, I agree with them. Because of the reopening of other economies around the globe, plus with the Fed rates near zero, and with the Fed pumping money into pumping a lot of cash. So you have the dollar weakening. So you've seen the emerging markets rally the past, I think the past week already, which includes us. So we were also benefited from that.
Okay. So basically, the past month is an example of how the economy moves away from what's happening to the market. So economy is not equal to the market in the short term. Can you say that?
Yes.
So let's begin with our first sector, the banks. BDO. Maybe Charles can go first.
Teka. Di ba magdo-drawing pa tayo?
Who wants to draw? Fine arts resource. Okay.
Should I draw first or should I answer already?
Yeah, you can.
Kaya na
You can.
mag-drawing, Edmond. Okay, sige, I'll just talk. Okay. Okay, I think what you're seeing for BDO and actually for the banks in general, because up until last week, banks have been lagging, no? Primarily because of the big uncertainty in the sector. And it's not only locally that's lagging. So even the global banks are also very weak. But I guess what happened the past week is really a move towards risk on globally. So meaning to say, for the very reasons that you mentioned a while ago, yung reopening of the economies, all the excess liquidity, and maybe parang may parang the worst is over kind of feel. So yun, investor. So it's more now on a risk on mode. So and that's very evident, particularly for the banks. No? So you see all the banks rallying steeply for the last week or so, and so I think so short term wise, I think the momentum would probably stay, but over the medium term, meaning a few months to several months down the road, up until the end of the year, I don't think we're out of the woods yet in terms of the banks, simply because the impact on the banks in terms of non-performing loans would be you would see them only maybe third quarter at the earliest. Diba? Kasi ngayon, they don't have to pay. So banks don't know what they're dealing with. So you might see, at least fundamentally, some further drags. No? Once this risk on rally finishes, then you might see them, weak again. So that's my thoughts.
What, Edmond?
I agree 100%. I think one of the biggest differences behind this week's rally versus previously is that previously we knew what the strong sectors were. So meaning it's your groceries and your telcos, for example, that were rallied the strongest over the last 2 months, right? So if you look at the banks today, and one of the key things is that now we're reopened. Now most of these companies that are trading at depressed valuations, and when I say depressed valuations, I actually mean in terms of price to book value. Okay. And most of these companies, for example, like the banks who have been performing poorly, now it's reopened. We've seen the worst. Now they're the ones who rallied the strongest. Actually, this actually coincides with a lot of other stocks that you guys are actually mentioning, GD Cap, for example, or Megawide. These guys have been lagging. That's the reason why you see them rally the strongest. Because if you look at it from a entire book value perspective, these guys are actually much cheaper as compared to your consumer and your telco stocks.
Czar.
Just the same thing. The banks. There are a lot of issues weighing on the banks this year. They're booking higher provisions in expectation of higher loan losses. Then you expect slower loan growth due to slowing economic activity. So, but the thing is, valuations are already cheap. So most likely they were already priced in. So from these lower levels, you just saw them just bounce up. So, but in the long term, I think it's going to be a tough year for banks still.
If I were an investor looking for an exposure in the banking sector, which one?
I'll go with the leading bank, BDO, and the BPI. They have the lowest exposure to consumer loans and SMEs.
Okay.
Hey, next
is the property sector. Meg o Ali?
Dapat pinamalaki.
Dapat Ali.
Wala nang bawian.
May hawak ka lang dito eh.
Game.
Edmond, start ka na.
Okay. Well, I'd actually like to talk more about SM Prime and Ali because I think the malls are in big danger. Okay. But I think Mega World should probably be the most resilient among all of them. And the reason why it's because they're more in the office segment. Just for your idea and for your notice, SM Prime, 50% of its revenues are coming from its mall, and the other 50% is residential. That's so, just for your perspective, that's 60 billion in mall revenues for 2019. For Ayala naman, it's 20 billion in mall revenues and 20 billion in office and hotels. For Mega World, majority of its office, I think if I'm not mistaken, 50% is already in office. That's 20 billion in recurring income on the office side. So if you ask me, most of these guys have been priced in very, very cheap. Very similar to the banks. I'm not too keen on the property sector. And the reason why is because the fixed assets, I believe, are in big danger, especially when the real economy starts to open. Nonetheless, valuations are very cheap. I think that's the reason why also, together with the banks, you're seeing them rally today. So it's very common. If you go down and show your MACD, it's also showing divergences.
Yeah. Sorry. MACD divergence. Yeah. So what do you think of the tenants of malls recently? Have they adjusted to the landlords? Have they adjusted to they can help the tenants renew their contracts or something?
Well, what I've heard was that for Ayala and Robinsons is that rent is free for the next 3 months starting from June, July, and August. And what they're going to be charging is 3% of gross. So, which I think is very important because you have to require most of your tenants to start going to the malls. Start opening up for the malls for people to start coming back in, right? But I don't think it's ever going to be the same. Well, not until we see a vaccine. And I think that's the biggest question mark, whether we will see it for 2020, 2021, or even for 2022 and onwards.
Czar, what do you think?
For Mega World, for most of the property companies, I think the most vulnerable are the ones with the mall, those with the mall revenues like SMPH, RLC. So for Meg, the office segment was pretty resilient, as shown by its recent results. But in general, I think most property stocks, like the banks also, they have a couple of issues this year. Because of the lockdown, rate of completions have slowed down, and you expect huge vacancies. Not huge, but like increasing vacancies for the office segment and the leasing spaces moving forward.
Okay, ano to? Laban?
But, yeah, I agree. Meg's really cheap.
Okay.
But the
maybe,
question is,
sorry.
how much will the business recover?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll just summarize everything that they said. So I generally agree. But for me, it's simple. For at least for the properties. For property companies, basta you only have 3 segments, right? So the first one is your residential. So the residential condominium sales mostly. You have your office leasing, and then you have your malls. So yun lang yung the biggest 3 components, no? And for the 3, it seems like the most resilient is the office segment. Kasi tuloy pa naman, nagbabayad pa rin naman ng rent lang lahat ng mga BPOs, lahat ng mga POGOs. So office segment seems to be the most resilient. Maybe followed by the mall. Mall, obviously, ECQ, walang mall rent. But with the reopening, probably that's the first to recover compared to the last segment, which is residential. Na we don't know for sure, but with with all this uncertainty and all the issues that we've gone through the last 2-3 months, it's really unclear on how it would change the consumer behavior, di ba? Kasi if you recall, for the last 10 years, property prices, condominium prices have gone up significantly, right? So how would it change going forward? So that's, for me, the biggest question mark. So yeah, so those are the 3 main components. Now, if you go through Mega World, at least sila, as I think both of them correctly mentioned, the biggest exposure is really on the offices, plus the valuations, obviously. So for me, if you had to choose at this point,
which one?
property company, Megaworld na lang ako. If you had to choose.
Megaworld. Okay. Any objections? Wala. Yung dalawa. Wala pa.
Well, yeah, Megaworld. And like for this year na naman I mean, for next year, like interest rates remain low, tapos if you're betting on economic recovery, tapos supply has been reduced. So it's all those factors are good for the property sector in general. So that's for next year.
Yeah, but just to add lang. I totally agree with everything that's said. I think one of the challenges is we also, as traders, because of this argument, failed to participate in Ayala and SM Prime. But if you look at the rally, for example, for Ayala Land in the last few days, I think it's over 15%, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the thing, right? Most of these fund flows, and as you see it in the emerging market, the fund flows, most of these, what they buy is always the big ones. And so what they prioritized in their end is that they're not even looking at Megaworld. I mean, they just bought Ayala Land and SM Prime. So I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that it won't go up. I mean, our preference is in terms of fundamentals, Megaworld. But what I'm just trying to point out is that fund flows alone, that's why your Ayala and SM Prime still outperform. Right. So I just want to show that distinction. So at least you're also aware.
100% agree.
Good. Next one. Energy. KKR buying. Ay, tama ba?
Wala pa eh.
First gen. What do you think, Zar?
Well, among the power companies, this is the best one for me. Because I mean like
the best one I bought.
Yeah, 95% is they have 95% of their are contracted, so like they won't be. I mean they produce stable cash flows, so that's it. I mean that's the main reason. Like that's a huge reason. So, and it's also very cheap, like in terms of NAV. So yeah. F-Gen.
Yeah.
Tapos,
how about you, Charles?
Yeah, sige.
Charles.
Ako na?
Yeah.
Dali, hindi pa ako tapos magsulat eh. Done.
Done.
For me, I agree. Obviously, I agree. But for me, I think, at least in the short term, I think the play is done because may bumili na sa kanila eh, di ba? So you already see the rally. So hopefully, we liked it before the news. No, it's one of actually our, like for COL, one of our top picks, even before the announcement of the tender offer, the tender offer, right? So but yeah, so kumbaga sana nagbebenta na tayo ngayon, di ba? For me, I don't know, at least for the short term, I think I agree with everything that Sar said, but for me it's done. Umakyat na eh.
Edmond, what's the upside to this one?
I think we're all free to disagree with each other, right? On this point, I think I kind of disagree with Charles that the short term is over. The reason why is because I treat this tender offer as something different rather than as for example, like with what happened to EDC. And the reason why it's because most of the tender offer is usually done at fair value. So meaning EDC was done at fair value at 725, if I'm not mistaken. Resorts World at that time, even though it was pissed off, was fairly valued because business was really bad. Same thing with what happened to Melco Resorts. Now, in this case, is that for me personally, at 2250, even though they do the tender offer and get that block sale, for example, 2250, at 2250 for me, first gen is at what, 8 times, 0.6, 0.7 times price to book. So for me at 2250, it's still cheap, right? And I think that's the biggest difference is because even if, for example, they get that block sale, for example, that 9% is fully subscribed to at 2250, your float goes from 31 to 22%. And I think what's going to happen after is that you'll see an absence of seller because nawala na yung seller eh. So I don't expect the same type of knee-jerk reaction that would happen before with EDC. I could be wrong also, I don't know, right? As to regards to the business, I like the business. Obviously, they're generating so much cash flow and most of it is contracted because they're renewable. But also, it's also their biggest risk because Lopez, just for your information, West-Em went down 60% and power demand in Luzon went down 30%. So it could also be the biggest risk also. So, I mean, the Lopez family is under attack from ABS-CBN and First Gen could also be attacked because they're making so much money right now.
Okay, our next sector.
Short term lang ako sorry. Short term lang yung sinabi ko na tapos na yung play Pero yeah, okay, next.
Package consumer. Yeah, before we get to the exciting ones. Package consumer. URC and CNPF.
Dalawa? Will we talk about CNPF after? Or sabay na?
Yeah, if you want. No, pwede rin. Sabay
URC na lang muna. Medyo iba
URC, sige.
Okay. Okay.
Maganda, sige. Fine.
Sorry Yan lang yung skills ko
Neutral. Neutral
lang Yes.
Neutral? O drooling? Yeah. Ay, hindi. Neutral nga.
All right. Who wants to start?
Charles, you can start.
Okay. I think for me, URC should be resilient, fairly resilient. I mean, kahit paano, even during the ECQ, they're still operating. I mean, they're still selling. Although there's going to be a decline, obviously with the lower purchasing power, I'm expecting a decline, but it shouldn't be that big. I guess so. In that sense, I'm okay with it. I guess my only concern at this point will be the valuations. To be honest, I've never really liked the valuations of URC ever since naman. Not only this round, but ever since, I kind of felt like the valuation is a bit on the high side. So that's my only issue. So maybe in that sense, I'm not really prioritizing it. But yeah, but I don't think it's gonna die. So I'm kind of neutral in that sense.
Edmond.
Agree siya pala.
Agree.
Chinek ko na yung sinabi niya.
Agree. Chinek mo na. Zar.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, yeah. Yung issue ng valuation.
Paakyat yung drawing mo
Hindi. I mean, valuation-wise kasi parang nasa siya 5-year average PE niya. That's the question. Pero since it's benefiting from the increased demand due to the COVID, and it's gonna be pretty resilient. So, yun lang. Yung valuations lang yung issue ko.
Okay.
And also, yung coffee segment niya has been recovering since last year before pre-COVID pa So.
But I guess just to differentiate, because I know that we're gonna. Sorry, Zara, to cut you off. Just to differentiate between like URC and CNPF, I think between the two, in terms of the product, I'd prefer CNPF probably, just because of the product. Because kumbaga parang the URC's products are more anong tawag doon, less discretion. More discretionary, I guess. I mean, you don't really have to drink C2, right, at this time, or you don't really have to eat, chips, right? So, kumbaga, less of a staple compared to, let's say, the canned goods of CNPF in that sense. So, kumbaga, syempre, hindi, resilient pa rin, don't get me wrong, but maybe hindi naman necessarily magbe-benefit, unlike, let's say, CNPF that could benefit. That's all.
Edmond, what's this? CNPF liquidity issue, no?
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern also as a trader for CNPF, because what can you buy, right? I mean, if you look at valuations, the one for CNPF, they're cheaper than URC by what, 30%. But obviously you can attribute that 30% discount because of liquidity alone, diba? So I mean, just for your own discretion.
Sorry.
Well, for CNPF, results were great. I think it was up, I think 17% that first quarter. Tapos, and its milk segment in Birch Tree has been accelerating. So plus with the valuations na still cheap. I think it's I like it.
You like it? Oh,
yeah.
So you like the illiquid?
But no. You know, liquidity is the issue. So, well, me personally, I'll concentrate on what funds are gonna buy. If you're gonna buy cheap, you buy mo na lang yung yung speculative cheap. That's for me.
Yeah. Can I just add something lang? So everything, I agree with everything that they said. For me, I really want to highlight the liquidity. Obvious ba highlight ko talaga, diba? The liquidity issue. If you look at the valuations, not only actually for consumer, but even for property, even for banks, even for, across all the industries, there's really, parang kumbaga, if you almost sure nga, if you rank them by market cap, for example, if you rank them by market cap, the bigger the market cap, the higher the valuations. No? So in general, ganun eh. So it's in a way, what I'm saying is, in a way, it might be misleading if we compare just, CNPF PE multiple and URC PE multiple, because yun nga, may liquidity discount talaga, and it's really a real thing. I don't know when hopefully it closes, right, for us to, diba, take advantage of our, like fundamental views, but behaviorally it's not really happening. So we have to respect what the market is willing to pay for these illiquid companies.
Okay.
That's all. Next.
Yeah.
The next one is maybe Edmund can start with tuloy pa ba yung build na yan? Tuloy pa
Which
ba yan?
one? DMC?
DMC DMC na lang o Megawide? Ano gusto nyo?
Ako Megawide.
Megawide.
Megawide na.
Tuloy pa ba? Build?
Tuloy.
Tuloy na tuloy.
Tuloy.
Test. Okay, go. Edmund, you can start. Nagdo-drawing ka ba?
I mean, I think like personal opinion is that Megawide's just severely oversold. So you're looking at a 10-11 billion market cap. I think it's significantly oversold. I think if you look at the breakdown of the business, I think construction should hopefully pick up for 2020 and 2021. What I don't like is I don't think first quarter is really a good reflection of what's going to happen. And I think what should be a good reflection is what is the airport going to look like and how much revenues will it generate in a 50% utilization environment. Same case with its Clark Airport that they just recently opened, right? All the projections and all the cash flow that they spent is looking at it from a 100% utilization. I don't know what it's going to look like from a 50% utilization. Plus, with its huge debt, I think that's the biggest overhang. But don't get me wrong, I think it's significantly oversold. That's the reason why it's rallying. But I think it's a rally to sell, not a rally to hold in the medium term.
All right. Zar, do you agree?
Well, I agree. The thing with, as you recall, Megawide, last year, construction revenues went down. Tapos, they were weighed down by expenses on the opening of the Mactan Airport. So now, first quarter, construction revenues actually went up and it's been recovering. So, but the thing is, the question is moving forward. Is the performance of the airport segment, because it accounts for around mga 50% net income nila, something like that. So, and just got lots of debt also. So, pass.
Fast. Charles.
Scalp it.
Okay, so ano to? Ano yung dinowing ko? Obvious ba yung dinowing? This means pray.
Alam ko positive eh.
Prayers.
Kala ko doon.
For me, yeah. So on the bright side, let's start with the bright side first. Mura naman talaga, and I guess long term wise, I mean, maayos naman yung negosyo. Build. If you ask me, tuloy naman. But yun nga, the problem is the short term. Will they? I mean, how much of a hit will they really take in the short term? So nasabi na nila pareho no. So it's really the airport operations and the huge amount of debt. So they really have a huge amount of debt. So I mean, kumbaga, if it would highly depend on your view on the pandemic, right? If you think within the year, diba, sabi ni Duterte by September may vaccine na from China. So
wow.
It depends. If you think na the vaccine would come sooner rather than later, then I think it's a good buy at this price, right? But if you think that the pandemic will extend until next year, well into next year, and airport operations well into next year or even the following year, then prayers.
Prayers talaga.
Prayers.
Okay. Next exciting sectors. Unahin natin yung telco.
Are we gonna do their request o mamaya pa?
Maybe after na lang? Singit.
Sector na rin, no?
Okay. Sige, last, go.
Last na. Dito ba o telephone?
Yung talaga yung wala kang alam.
Sorry. Dito na lang tayo.
Lagay mo na lang sa... PLDT yung globe na lang.
Malaki upside nandito.
Telephone.
Okay.
Biggest one. Who will start? Zar, start.
Well, for telcos kasi for me, they're not gonna give you like huge returns, pero but at least they're gonna give you steady growth. So kasi this year with the lockdown, it has accelerated the pivot to digital and also to accelerated data adoption for consumers. So that's the play. But at the same time, nag-decrease rin yung mobile revenues eh. But those that mobile revenues decreased because they went to broadband. So with the continuing work from home for setup, expect broadband and fixed line to continue to grow. Pero net I think steady lang this year, steady lang. Pero what I like about this is the narrative which is the pivot to digital.
Charles, nakikinig ka ba, Charles? Ayan.
Yes. For me, yeah, I think they're one of the more resilient ones. So I like them fundamentally. I think what happened with them is sila kasi yung nauna nag-rally So after the mid-March sell-off, PLDT and Globe were actually PLDT and Globe were two of the earlier ones to rally. And I think what's happening now is really just profit taking and rotation towards the other cheaper quote-unquote sectors. Kumbaga nauna na to, medyo mas mahal na ng konti relative to let's say the banks. So you see resistance really, it's really going into consolidation right now. And if you for example look at this like 1,300 level, if you extend this chart to maybe to multiple years, I think 2-3 years, you see that the 1,300 level is a major resistance. So kumbaga marami lang talaga naipit sa PLDT and Globe for the last, I don't know, half a decade. Kaya it's really normal to see these kinds of consolidations. But yeah, hopefully it takes a shorter time, but hopefully it breaks out eventually, right? But fundamentally, I think relatively safer siya compared to the other industries or companies.
Oh, seems like the ones with the better narrative went ahead first, no, than the ones with yung value plays. Edmond?
Yes, exactly. Kaya nauna na to eh, di ba? Sila yung nauna eh. And then the last month medyo flat na lang versus the others na ngayon lang nagra-rally. So medyo may pagka-rotation lang. So hopefully baka kung tapos na mag-rally yung yung iba baka bumalik naman, di ko alam.
So si Edmond agree, Edmond, no?
Yeah, I was gonna highlight the 6% cash dividend. I think it's already written on the screen by Izar. I think this coincides also with global. So, I mean, one of the things that are, two things that were very important is that one is that you have to survive, and two is that the cash flow is still intact. And Charles already highlighted everything about cash flow and safety of the business, and plus the cash dividend. So, as investors, the defensives will probably outperform, especially in a pandemic such as this. And that's the reason why we like PLDT more than the other sectors.
All right. May bibili na tayo. Okay, ito.
Oh, yung request na.
Bad story. Ay, request muna tayo?
Yung request na.
Ano yung request?
Do you want to talk about dito?
Hindi. Meron pa tayong dalawang sector. Airlines and restaurants.
Okay.
Tapusin muna natin.
All right.
Yeah, that's the airline sector. Charles.
Wala, di pa naglo-load eh. Titignan ko pa yung chart.
So, nag-book ka na ba?
Okay. I guess for me, I'll just go ahead. For me, very similar sentiment to Megawide. In the sense na talagang, if this pandemic really lasts and, the vaccine or the treatment would really take a long time, I think it's quite obvious that the airlines sector would be one of the worst hit talaga, di ba? Kasi, how can you imagine, airlines operating at 50% capacity, social distancing, parang imposible, di ba? So, yeah, so it's really one of the highest exposure to the pandemic, right? So, but having said that, it's really absurdly cheap at this point, right? I think 2 or 3 times probably na historical earnings. So, it's really cheap. And on the positive side, I really believe that if any airline could survive this pandemic, it's gonna be Cebu Pacific. Kasi talagang relatively high cash position, low cost, di ba? Tapos, magaling rin naman yung Gokong Way kahit paano. So I just think, kung hindi naman siguro siya mababankrupt, kung mabankrupt siya, maraming ibang airline na mauuna. So, di ba? So, I really think na...
Sayang sa oras ba?
Hindi naman. Hindi, wala. Medyo mixed. I think for me, it's mixed. Diba? Sobrang mura. Hindi naman siguro mababankrupt. One of the last to bankrupt. But at the same time, it really would depend on your view on the pandemic. So it depends. Diba? Wala, mahirap talaga eh. I don't know. Maybe they know.
Edmond, what's that 11 billion?
I kind of disagree with what Charles said. Yes, to some extent that they're probably the safest. What I disagree on is that it's least chance to go bankrupt. I think the government has no choice but to bail out, including Cebu Pacific. I wrote down 11 billion. It's because that's their operating expenses for one quarter. So in first quarter, they had 16 billion operating expenses because 5 billion was fuel. The 11 billion was personnel, repairs, depreciation, and whatsoever. And if you're looking at zero revenues for second quarter, which is their strongest quarter, you're looking at an 11 billion operating loss for Cebu Pacific. Okay, 11 billion for one quarter. And third quarter is a negative quarter. Fourth quarter is usually strong also. I don't know what fourth quarter is going to look like and whether domestic flights will be available. Now, the thing is, you can say that, okay, we're going to have domestic flights now coming aboard on 50% utilization. No airline is going to make money at 50% utilization. So unless the government's going to come in and provide subsidies, I'm very worried about the airline stocks. I'm even more worried about Philippine Airlines. And and personally, I think the government has no choice but to, I don't know, provide a ridiculous amount of subsidies for these guys.
Yeah, subsidies. Zar,
Well,
in the long run.
yeah.
Favorite mo?
Then for Seb, the question is how fast is passenger volume going to recover? So like, kasi even after the opening, there's still fear of traveling, and so how fast is gonna come? So I just wrote the vaccine there kasi pag there's a vaccine, people are gonna entice to travel again without the fear. So most likely it's gonna shoot up, di ba? Pero right now, it's cheap for a reason. Pero it depends nga, tama si Charles, how you view the pandemic, how it's gonna play out. But it's still a lot of uncertainty. Pero it's really cheap. But it depends really on, if there's a vaccine in the horizon soon. So, just even if after post-lockdown, kayo ba gusto nyo ba mag-travel, di ba? Are you excited?
Gusto ko.
Gusto ko rin.
Gusto ko 50 cents. 50 cents.
So,
fair.
Even if 50% utilization, tama si Edmond, like, it's not enough to cover for their expenses. So, 50-50.
Bull market. Okay, last one. Restaurants. What's your favorite restaurant? Pizza.
JFC.
JFC na lang. Jollibee.
Oh, God.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
Sige.
Tinamaan ba ng riots? Hindi naman siguro, no? Edmond, start ka na. Start with you.
Okay,
Jollibee.
I wrote 11 billion. This one is 21
Sorry.
billion.
Mas malaki to. Mas maganda to.
So I wrote down 11 billion a while ago for Cebu Pacific. This one is 21 billion. And at 2.5% margins, I'm really, really worried about Jollibee. I think Jollibee has to write off some stores, close some stores also altogether. Will it survive? I think the answer is yes. So I think they're probably in a better situation than in Cebu Pacific. So people are looking at what's going to happen is that you'll have a 50% occupancy in the stores, right? And maybe a 30% of total sales will now be online. Okay. Just for your information, they had 185 billion revenues for 2019, and their gross margins on inventory alone was 52%. Okay, so you're looking at 90 billion, and then you have 21 billion times 4, which is 84 billion, right, for the overhead. Basically, you're looking at what, I don't know, give or take, negative 20 billion in operating losses. So I don't know what's going to look like. Hopefully I'm wrong. And hopefully online sales did generate a larger part of revenues for second and third quarter. And I'm hoping, praying. I think they're in a more difficult situation because margins for Jollibee is at 2.8% versus the other restaurants. Shakey's is operating at a higher margins than Jollibee, and so is most of the other restaurants. So we'll have to wait and see. I think they'll have to take a massive write-down also. They haven't mentioned it yet, but I feel like they have to impair a lot of stuff already. And maybe Charles has more to say about the US, especially with Smashburger.
Alright. Okay, sige. Ito, ano yan? Obviously, this is a thumbs up for me. Controversial, di ba? Let me clarify, sorry. let me clarify. I really think if you should only be buying this if you're really a longer term investor. But I really think it's a good opportunity if you have a longer term horizon. So why is that? Ako, ultimately, I think it depends on the product, diba? And I think I still think that over the long term, I don't know what's gonna happen within the next 6 months, within the next 12 months. But I know for sure that once everything settles down, and as Edmond mentioned, hindi naman siguro sila mababankrupt. I think they should be able to go back to their historical performance. So for me, it's really just weathering the storm in the short term. As to some of the, at least just to, obviously, maraming negatives ngayon, di ba? That they can't operate, all the operating expense. So I guess the question is, meron bang positive to over the long term? I mean, meron bang silver lining, I guess? And I think one silver lining with Jollibee is that after this pandemic, I think everybody's sure na maraming restaurants ang magsasara, di ba? And if you're gonna ask me, okay, who will benefit going forward? Diba? Let's say natapos na, 12 months from now, natapos na, marami na nagsara. Siyempre, all the smaller players can't survive anymore. I think that's the time where Jollibee would be able to shine. Kasi they have the financial leverage to scale up and take all these spaces. So in fact, to be specific, for example, diba yung Smash Burger nila, for the longest time, the Smash Burger is not making money. Kasi the biggest issue for Smash Burger is really the location. Pangit ng location nila lahat. So ang sabi nila, sila nagsabi na ito, with the pandemic now, one silver lining is, pag nagsara na lahat ng restaurant sa US, makakalipat na sila sa magandang location. Diba? So at the very least, I mean, everything that I'm saying is really over the longer term. So I don't know what's gonna happen in the short term. Pwedeng mag-retest pa yan pag talagang matagal yung pandemic. It could really happen. But if I were a longer term investor, I'm gonna really seriously considering, doing an EIP for this. So for me, it's really a longer term play. And if anybody's gonna survive, it's Jollibee, right? Na-imagine nyo ba, hindi kayo kakain ng Chicken Joy? Diba? Anyway, baka bias lang ako.
Sige na. Deliveries. Deliveries, that enough? Deliveries.
Well, I mean, they're both, I mean, they're apparent, that's from two perspectives. I mean, they're both correct naman. Like, this year, I mean, Jollibee's gonna, Coffee Bean operating at a loss. Sorry, it's my phone. Still operating at a loss. So the full losses of Coffee Bean is going to be reflected for this year, since it was just consolidated last September. Tapos, I think they have like a 7 billion restructuring charge this year for rationalization of stores, Smash Burger, etc. So there's going to be a lot of expenses this year. So expect a huge decline in earnings for the next few quarters. I agree with us also that Jollibee is a great brand, and if they're able to fix, the problems now, based on normalized earnings, mura-mura talaga siya. So, but long term is 1 year, diba? 1 year or more. So you just don't know how long it's gonna take. But according to Jollibee daw, 18 months daw Coffee Bean and Smash Burger is already parang turning around. So we'll see.
Guys, disclaimer disclaimer this is just my personal view and not the not the company that I work for. So just,
well, to be clear lang kasi ba
and I really don't know anything, so please
balimbing yung
don't and don't blame me if I'm wrong.
Since Since we're traders naman, so this year, pass ako.
Asa ka? Oh, guys,
Alright.
wag muna kayo alis ha. Kasi meron pa tayong question and answer portion.
Question and answer portion.
Meron.
Okay. What?
The first one. GT Cup. Charles, ano?
Will you pull up the chart? Hindi na.
Up the chart.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Sige, salita na ako para mabilis. GT Cup. Yeah, I think it's really one of the laggards among the laggards, no? Excluding today, right? So as late as yesterday, I was even joking with some of my other colleagues that GT Cup is the last one really to rally. No? Nag-rally na lahat for the past week. Ngayon lang siya, today lang talaga siya humabol. No? So buti nga humabol pa siya. Yeah, so it's really very cheap. I really think it's really very cheap. But yeah, for some reason, the family is really being traded at a discount. No? So Metrobank, GT Cap, partly because of the uncertainty with Metrobank also, parang as we said with the other banks, and also the Toyota business is also having its own issues. Diba? Obviously, with the ECQ the last 3 months, obviously wala namang bumibili ng sasakyan. And going forward, again, it's a question of the consumer confidence. Will really buy a car for the rest of the year, I guess, is the question. So I would say in a way it's cheap for a reason, but I really thought that past tense na wala nagrally na today 15%. But I really thought that last week's or the 2 days ago's valuation was really absurd. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 5-6 times normalized PE. So, and book value is even, if I'm not mistaken, book value is at 800 pesos. So, meaning to say, di ba, parang mas mura ka pa sa principal, pero kahit pa paano, di ba, it's a good business for me. So, I mean, it shouldn't trade that low, right? So, yeah, it's really valuation, mean reversion trade, right? Yeah, over the long term, I'm still okay with it, I guess. I don't think people will stop buying cars over the long term. So I'm kind of bullish actually with this. Pero unfortunately, 15% premium na kung bukas ka bibili. So such is life.
VIP pwede pa. I think Edmond wants to add a violent reaction.
Di naman violent. I think kasi Charles said it's yung pinaka-laggard. Actually, there's one more, even more laggard. Okay, it's actually AGI.
Yes.
You forgot AGI. Okay. First things first. I wrote here 80 billion. That's the market cap, and I put here 771 per share. That's the book value of GT Cap. And just doing those simple numbers, even so, before today's rally, you were trading at less than what, 0.5, 0.4 times price to book. And I think that says it all. I mean, this entire rally from the last 3-4 days and the rotation that you see was just going into most of it into the significantly cheap ones. That's why your bank sectors, your property, and security bank, for example, GT Cap, I think that's what we're seeing today.
Zar, will you add anything or we move
I
to the
agree.
next?
I agree. Well, I mean, I agree. Like, it's really, really cheap, pero for a reason. Pero like, if you look at their businesses, these are businesses that gonna, last. So the question is, how long lang yung recovery take? So, but it's really, really cheap.
Okay. Our next stock is SecB. Sige, please expound na lang uli.
Okay.
But our topic is BDO, pero may nag-request for SecB.
All right. Should I go first?
Yeah. Sige. Ikaw na. Ikaw na, Charles.
Okay, so for me, I put in Dunn again. For me, the play was really after at the rebalancing date a week ago, right? Kasi obviously, di ba, natanggal siya sa MSCI, so a lot of people sold from around 100 to 80 to even as low as below 80. No? So I think the buying really was at the close of the rebalancing date. And I think for those of you guys, hopefully for those of you guys who attended my executive course, di ba? I always mention, di ba, pag may mga MSCI rebalancing, not only for security ba actually, but even if you look at Megawide, Macro Asia, natanggal rin sa MSCI, you saw that after the effective date, prices really rallied. No? So medyo naman siya, parang one of the few for me easier parang trade for me, easier trade with some edge. So for me the play was really a few days ago. Unfortunately now, so what has happened since then, no? So sorry. So I forgot to mention, obviously mura naman siya like all the other banks, right? But now after the rally the last 5 days, medyo bumalik na siya eh. If you look at, for example, if you compare it to the chart of Metrobank, to BDO, halos na recover na niya yung decline from the MSCI rebalancing. And maybe that's the reason why today you saw some weakness already. So for me, going forward, I'm not saying it's gonna go down, but what I'm saying is it's gonna be more in line with the other banks. The last 5 days, siya yung nag-outperform among the banks. But going forward, it's gonna be in line with the other banks. So if you recall what I said about BDO, I think short-term may momentum talaga on the banks globally. So maybe you can still see some short-term, momentum here. But yeah, it's gonna go. I don't see it really going up if the other big banks don't lead, if that makes sense. So correct, kung nakikita nyo na si BDO BPI binebentahan, baka tapos na rin si security. So for me, it's more in line with BDO. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Who wants to add?
I mean, to us, it was really simple. I mean, the MSCI was basically our main reason for buying Security Bank in the first place. Personally, I feel like today is already resistance. This is the initial resistance, and that's why I sold everything today, just for a disclaimer. If you're meaning, but I think that it can still rally. Obviously, it's still cheap, and your value is still rallying. So it could still rally in the next few days. But nonetheless, you should be selling personally on this rally. The next resistance, like what we wrote, is 125. That's around the 100-day EMA. And yeah, I think that's it on our end.
Jar.
Yeah, the same thing with Charles. Parang this year, as we discussed earlier, there are a lot of issues with banks, high provision, slowing loan growth, etc. So the play was the last few days actually. So well, I don't know if it's gonna go down or ano, pero tapos na yung play for me. Yes.
Okay, our next one. Dito, meron sa inyo, anybody knows anything about this, this stock?
Well, parang sa dito, I think, it's the play is yung, the alternative
may volume
to Tel and the Globe, parang the slow internet providers, parang ganon. Kasi yun yung niya eh. So parang it provides an alternative to yung the other two telcos. Tapos I think March next year they're gonna start commercial operations, and they have on September a stress test. So parang yun lang yung ko eh. Not really familiar.
Yeah. Maybe if I were just to add, I don't really know much about the company. What I do know, one of the few things that I know is that I believe Dennis Uy was selling at around 2 pesos, right? Over 250, 2 pesos, 250 around Feb this year. So, wala lang. Yun lang. Eh, simple lang naman ako eh. Pag nagbibenta yung owner, di bibenta rin ako. Pag bumibili, di bumibili din tayo. Di ba? Parang, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know anything about the company.
Same sentiments. I think one thing just to add, if you ask me if there was a 1% chance of Dito actually competing as a third telco, 1% chance with the COVID lockdown, I probably bring it to like 0.1% chance of actually succeeding.
Oh.
Imports are no. I'm being honest. I mean, imports. I mean, this is the worst time for you to build a business. I mean, with massive fixed capex because you have to borrow what they're being asked to inject 150, 75 to 100 billion in terms of capex. And you have that so much overhang and uncertainty in an environment where how would you spend so much when the entire country is in big, I mean, already strapped with cash. So I don't know how it's going to happen. But obviously you look at the chart, it's breaking out. So if you're trading it, I just suggest you just trade it as simply as a trade. It's not our priority. It's not my priority. I don't know if anybody else has a different answer.
Okay. Our next is RRHI pala. I almost forgot. Ayan. RRHI. Groceries also.
All right, I'll go ahead na.
Yes.
Ano naman?
Yes, yeah.
Pa-scroll up naman.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for me, this is similar to actually Pure Gold, similar to the telcos. One of the earlier stocks to rally. Yeah, so one of the more resilient stocks. Consumer, 70% of the business is consumer, non-discretionary, huge cash position. One of the few companies that are maintaining their buybacks despite the pandemic. A lot of the companies paused their buyback operations, but for this one, continuous pa yan kasi sobrang dami talagang cash. Yeah, so obviously I'm bullish really on the fundamentals, but I guess the only issue is yun nga, nauna na siya, and I believe like technicals wise it should probably do a consolidation first around this level, right, maybe around between 66 and 72. Hopefully consolidate there, not too long, hopefully, and then maybe break out again. So that's my expectation. Yeah.
Who wants to add? Zar, you want to add anything?
Okay. Well, for RHA, yeah, similar to Pure Gold, it was the beneficiary of the increased demand for basic goods. So their supermarket and drugstores. And also, yung Rustans nila kasi, that was their problem last year. I think the past 2 quarters is already posted a positive income. So that's another good thing going for them. But valuation-wise, parang if you look at it, it's around its average PE already. Pero for me, I think it doesn't matter kasi if it's growing, I think 30% last quarter. So if it grows at that high rate, it's not really a big issue.
Edmond, anything to add?
No, nothing.
No? Okay.
They said it.
So for our next stock, si Ma'am Ann Curtis. For our next stock, you have you have to call on our super trader, senior trader Chad, to answer a question about ASEF.
Hi, Chad.
Chad?
Hello. Hindi ko alam ba't ako nasama dito, pero sige.
Siyempre.
Join the
Hello, guys. Okay, so I will no longer hype this stock up. I think I've done enough damage since the last alumni gathering. But I think they should still go up. Similar to what Charles said about Tel and Globe. So yung ASEP kasi it rallied before everyone else, right? All the other stocks. So now it's just really going through duration. Magnitude duration lang naman lahat yan, guys. So the story is still the same. It's still the AC Energy assets being injected into ASEP, right? So in AC International. So the main reason why it's really holding at that level is the large buyback program of the company. They implemented a 1 billion share buyback a few months ago, right? So ayun, I really think that it should go up. The main problem I have with this one is, apart from it being still speculative, diba, is that it's retail heavy, meaning wala masyadong institution supporting it yet. So as you can see, nagkaroon ng breakdown near the 2.2 level. I think these are all of us, all of the alumni being hyped by our last presentation. Sila yung mga nag-cut dyan. So yun yung nangyari. So, but I really think that with sentiment improving, that yun nga, baka mag-break lang ganyan, tapos new high na siya. But again, I'm not hyping it. That's what I think.
Objective lang.
Objective lang tayo dito. Objective lang. So just be careful, guys. If you're buying this, nandiyan pa rin naman siya. The technicals still look good. Yes, 3 pesos. I agree. No hype. So I mean, the technicals still look good. If you want to buy it, maybe near the 2.3 level, but just manage your risk because again, tayo lang yan, retail heavy. So until the institutions take notice, I don't think this would really go into momentum move. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thanks.
You.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Chad.
Zar, sinulat mo yung 3 pesos.
Hindi, ano lang yan. We did a report before about ASEF. If you look at the value of their assets, parang our estimates around 2.9 to 3. So, pero wala pa naman talaga siyang earnings or so it's still speculative. Pero I think its assets are good value. So well, I mean, like what Chad said, the owners buying, tapos I think they bought around 2.3 and also 2.5, something like that. That's maybe there's a buyback. So the business is solid. So I think for me, I mean, I like it. Yeah. Tapos I mean they're turning around yung operations ng FINMA they acquired last year. So with the new RES contracts that are favorable. So yeah.
Edmond, do you have anything to add here? No.
Wala, okay na yan.
Okay
I mean, liquidity lang. Just be careful. Tsaka it's just a small stock. That's why it's not on our priority list. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. So for our next 2 stocks, medyo global. So we have to call on partner Terence.
Oh no.
Terence, ayun.
Yes,
Terence,
yes.
Are you here?
Kakaligo ko lang.
Oh, yes.
Terence, di lang tayo nandito.
Terence, merong nagtanong. 1211.
1211, it's okay. It's a steady company naman. So, longer term, we're more interested in it as a battery technology play. They developed the Blade battery, which is probably going to be in their vehicles in the next few months. So the Blade battery is basically a modified LFP, lithium phosphate ion battery, but parang ano siya more battery density, meaning the battery to pack ratio is mga 60%. The normal ratio is mga 40%. So it means it's thinner, it's lighter, it costs less, and supposedly it's safer. So it's probably going to be the next next thing in battery technology. But in terms of other businesses, they're gonna list their semiconductor unit, so that might be a near-term catalyst. But their biggest business, the NEV business, that one is probably going to be quite a struggle because of competition. So short term, I think, due to the nature of the company and the catalyst, probably will just channel up or go sideways. Longer term looks promising naman on a longer term perspective.
Okay. Next one is, yung isang tinanong is 2338.
Weichai Power. Weichai Power, so heavy truck manufacturer. Actually, heavy truck sales in China was up mga 62% last May lang because of pent-up demand and due to government policies. This is heavily reliant on property construction. So I think although magno-normalize din it won't be 62% in the next few months. It will probably go back into the low double digits. But property sales are picking up again. They're almost back to normal in China. Again, like BYD, this should probably be it's a stable company, but you should just expect channel-like movements from it. So buy low, sell high, because yung lack of catalysts, although long-term prospects are okay naman. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Terence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next one is, balik tayo sa Pilipinas muna. May nagtanong about Manila Water. Manila Water. Wash your hands. Okay. Wants to go first? Edmond. Sige.
I think there's a tender offer supposed to be done at 13 pesos, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, when I look at it, you're capped also on the upside. So you have a 4 or 5% window to 13 pesos. I mean, I still like it. I think if you're going to be buying Manila Water, you might as well just be buying ACE-PH. I mean, because they're going to inject Manila Water into ACE-PH. So, I mean, I'm not hyping. I'm just speaking on based on from what I see. I mean, that's how I approach it.
Charles, anything to add?
Yeah, I agree with Edmond. I'm really looking at the tender offer price, 13 pesos. For whatever reason, kasi if you recall, back when the tender offer was first announced, nasa 13, 14 yata yung share price, di ba? Around Feb ba yun? Or January or Feb? But after that, there were fears that it's gonna be delisted after Razon takes over, gets majority stake, di ba? So I'm just reminding you guys that's still, I guess, a possibility going forward. So yun nga, parang 13 pesos might be the cap, especially if Razon really wants to get a lot of the shares. Siyempre, hindi kayo magbebenta, hindi kayo magte-tender pag above 13 yung share price, diba? So baka ma-cap dun sa 13 pesos. So for me, limited opportunity for now.
Okay, Zar.
Same thing. Agree. May request. May request sa floor. Nickel daw.
Okay, bago natin
Tanungin natin silang dalawa.
Sinong gusto? Sino may comment sa nickel?
Tanong mo si
Jason.
Jason.
Let's
Hindi
call
siya,
in
siya
our...
nagtatanong nga eh.
Jason, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Siya nagtatanong.
Naghahanap lang ako ng idea, and I think that if you look at nickel prices globally, it looks like a reversal pattern. So baka may pag-asa yung mga mining companies. But this is also just like a value play din. And actually, hindi ko pa na-research masyado yung nickel. Si Zar na bahala mag-research.
Well, actually ako gusto ko rin yan eh. I mean, parang ano lang, a speculative play. Parang you're playing you're betting on the recovery of the economy. So if volumes recover, tapos if you remember last year, 'di ba, yung nickel prices went down because they stockpiled the nickel in advance of the Indonesian ore ban. So it went down. So pero if you see the prices, parang it's bottomed out already, parang. So
yeah, if you look at nickel sa global markets, parang reversal pattern eh.
Plus valuations are very valuations
are
are very cheap, 'di ba? So parang worst case baka yan eh. I mean, just saying. Pero siyempre, I mean, volumes could still decline significantly. Pero for me, parang malaki yung yung risk reward. I mean, asymmetric risk reward. So ayun lang.
Charles, Edmond, sino? May comment kayo?
Wala akong comment. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Edmond.
ako rin.
Hinahip sarili.
Just follow JJN. I mean, most likely susunod lang siya sa nickel prices. So just watch nickel prices. Yun lang masasabi ko.
Yan natin. Okay. So for the last one, global. May nag-request Boeing.
Boeing? Di pa kayo nakinig kay Buffett?
Boeing. Tama ba? Boeing, tama. BA.
Yes.
Oh, Jason.
So I guess I don't know the details that much kasi of course andun tayo sa malalakas eh, diba? Like the work from home stocks and all of that. But I guess like Warren Buffett, sumuko na siya sa airlines. So what he said was there were too many planes in the sky and that di mo alam when the demand is going to recover. So it might be 3 to 5 years before the demand recovers. I don't know. But today, and maybe in the next few years, there's going to be so many planes in the sky. So oversupply. And I think nobody's going to buy a new planes for the next few years. Okay, so I don't know. But what happened with BA is that I think they were able to raise funds in the past few months. So at least they're going to survive. And too big to fail din ito eh. So it's worst case, it can probably going to be bailed out by the government. But yun, so parang value play lang siya. Like similar to a lot of stocks in the Philippines. So yun lang.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that's it, guys. I think that's the best way to end this talk with the most vulnerable sector to the coronavirus. So I guess, Edmond, maybe you can say something to our...
Okay, sure. This week has changed a lot in terms of the markets. Our priority ever since this lockdown were always the work from home stocks. That's why we've been pushing people to go outside into Hong Kong, Japan, and US. I think somebody asked in Discord, our biggest change happened last week because we saw the value stocks see a rotation from the work from home stocks into the value companies. And that's why you saw your banks such as JP Morgan, Bank of America start to rally last week. And because it was a reopening of the economy for the US. This week was also very similar for us because as the country starts to reopen, then business obviously is restarting. And that's the reason why your laggards and your value plays and your countries such as Philippines, emerging markets started to rally. Together with the US breakdown, that's why you see the strong rally in risk on in terms of the emerging market equities. And so going into this rally, our biggest concern was what to buy. And that's always our concern, what do we buy? Our priority really was the MSCI, and that's why Security Bank was our brainless pick, and that's why we added first gen, and then that's why we also added PLDT. Okay. It can feel like it's a bull market out there. I don't blame you, because the rally from 5,400 to 6,500 seems a lot, and it is a lot in a short amount of time. But please don't get carried away. We feel that this is still a sell on rallies, on any rally, and we don't think the market will run away at this stage. So if the market pulls back, then you'll probably see opportunities for your trading. We're not worried about that. So personally, I think until second quarter earnings, which is probably until August 15, and probably like 30 days before that, in the next few weeks, you'll probably see rotation into this value. But please don't underestimate, and please don't get carried away. These are all rallies to sell. I don't think we're out of the woods. It's just that the market has already been priced in so negatively. And that's why we're seeing big rallies such as what we have here today. So I wish you guys the best of luck. And hopefully we can continue this. I'm having fun. I'm sure all the coaches had a good week also this week. So hopefully this will give us a bit more window for us to make a lot of more money. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.